President Joe Biden is attempting to stop the discussion about whether he will drop out. It's not working, but he did write a letter indicating he's not dropping out. We are going to take a look at the letter. And then I also want to talk about some of the aspects of it that make more sense and some that make less sense. President Biden sending this letter to fellow Democrats. And he says, now that you have returned from the July 4th recess, I want you to know that despite all the speculation in the press and elsewhere, I am firmly committed to staying in this race, to running this race to the end, and to beating Donald Trump. I have had extensive conversations with the leadership of the party, elected officials, rank and file members, and most importantly, Democratic voters. I have heard the concerns people have, their good faith fears and worries about what's at stake. I'm not blind to them. Believe me, I know better than anyone the responsibility and burden the nominee of the party carries, talking about how he previously carried it as well. But he says that he is going to stay in. I can respond to all this by saying clearly and unequivocally, I wouldn't be running again if I did not absolutely believe I was the best person to defeat Donald Trump in 2024. We had a Democratic nomination process and the voters have spoken clearly and decisively. I received over 14 million votes, 87% of votes cast across the entire nominating process. I have nearly 3,900 delegates making me the presumptive nominee by a wide margin. Adding, this was a process open to anyone who wanted to run. Only 3 people chose to challenge me. One fared so badly that he left the primaries to run as an independent. Another attacked me for being too old and was defeated. The voters of the Democratic Party have voted. So a couple different things here. First of all, up front, some of the people who email me don't seem to realize I have no power over whether Biden stays or goes. Like, absolutely none. All I can do here is talk about the dangers of Trump, and I don't want Trump to win. So this is a letter Biden wrote, much like when I reported polling about Biden. This is the letter Biden wrote. I'm not a player in influencing any of the outcomes here. The letter is definitive. And one can make the argument, and we will see later what our panelists think. One can make the argument that it makes sense to be definitive at this point in time. The other thing I think is important to mention is that when Biden says only 3 people chose to challenge me, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's sort of like if I said, if it weren't for Biden, Marianne Williamson would be the nominee. No serious candidate challenged Biden because Biden was the incumbent. If it weren't for Biden running, if it were an open primary, Marianne Williamson would not be the nominee. There would be other people running and they would have defeated the 3 people who did run. That's my belief. That's my opinion. But it's the one part of this letter that doesn't make a lot of sense. So we are going to continue. Now you will see they are moving on from Biden, something with the brain. They're moving on to Biden Parkinson's, and we're going to get to that in a moment. But at least for the time being, Biden being definitive and saying, I'm staying in the race.